So what do you miss about radio?
What I miss is writing. See, when you're in marketing and working for other companies, you have a bandwidth of subject matter that you can cover, and there's limitations. But back in the old days when I had my own show, I could genuinely write a segment about whatever I wanted and find jokes and stories and the narrative in there wherever I wanted and however I wanted. This sounds very selfish, I'm sorry, but I could come up with the ideation, the writing, I could perform it, and I could edit it, produce it and publish it all by myself from end to end. Now, I do that to this day in these jobs, but it's not like I can see a story in the news and go, I'm going to write a sketch about that. And make people laugh. I make content at the moment that makes people laugh, but those people that are laughing are part of that company's audience, not a broad radio audience where you can tap into for that. And there is something special about getting off air off a 3, 4 or 6 hour shift, and you're absolutely pissing in sweat. Because you've just spent the last few hours giving that shift absolutely everything that you had. And you call it whatever you want. You were tight and bright. You were in the pocket. You hit the post. You know when you nailed the shift. You know when you hit the perfect timeout. And no one but you cares about that, but you do. And it makes you so happy.
Yeah.
And you walk out and you go, I did an awesome thing there. And that's why it is so nice when you have an audience that calls you up for no reason other than to speak to you. And they were like, I loved that song. I haven't heard it for ages. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's called a spike track. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Or you were able to have a block of about a 15-minute block in your hour where you know that you set a mood. Call it Brian Ford's wall of sound or whatever he called it back in the day, but you did something from a programming perspective that they didn't know was happening to them. It's magic. It's like performers on stage in stand-up comedy or actors in TV and movie shows or whatever. You've done something to someone and for someone. They don't know how you did it, but they felt it. I think that's a little bit of what I miss. And my heart breaks because I think that if I went back into radio, I couldn't do that anymore. Not out of a lack of skills, more so out of how radio is today. Whether the room is there to even achieve that connection anymore.
So what don't you miss about radio?
I don't miss the spinning plates campaign strategy for 10 to 15 clients. Multiple briefs at once or terrible briefs or really pushy salespeople are par for the course. But I would take that any day to have worked in an industry, to have worked in a radio industry that wasn't full of vacuous, fame-seeking assholes who would step over their own mother to advance their own careers. I go to the stations and I go, who's that? Oh, that's blah blah's niece. It's like, oh, really? And what does she do? Oh, she's exec producer. I'm sorry, what? Fresh out of second year university. And it's like, what are we talking about here? But just the sheer bullshit where you jump on a conference call and they go, you're off the radar. Like, this show doesn't need that. It needs this. And I'm like, do you live here? Do you speak to the listeners every day? Do you drive around town and see what the issues are? Or did you just look up the newspaper's headlines from today 34 seconds before you picked up this call to give me my air check? I could see the cogs in their minds. They were thinking to themselves, whatever you do, don't work out that I actually don't know what I'm doing. Everyone's good at everything and no one's better than anybody else. And whatever you do, don't work out that I may not know absolutely everything, or I may not know how to do a certain thing. And I was like, oh, I get it. Mistakes are stigmatized where you are. I see.
Yeah, sucked for them though. Fear of failure, such a huge thing, not just in radio, but one thing that is unique to radio on the other side of the coin is the way that we define success. There really only seems to be that one way. You know, you've got to get a job on major market radio to show everyone you've done it. You know, you get a job on a station like Fox FM. That'll show them. It's pretty pervasive, isn't it?
Why is being on Fox your definition of success? Your definition of success is for you, not for anybody else. Stop handing your happiness over to other people. You are surrendering a part of yourself and giving this other person all of the power over your own happiness. Your self-worth is not graded on what station you work at and on what show and who with and blah, 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 which is why when I'm older, I would really love to just be able to pull one shift on 3MP. That would make my that's the cherry on the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Just as a personal achievement, because it'd be right going back to when I was 8 years old. But to have the honour of saying that call sign, and just give me an hour, just give me 1 hour, give me 4 15-minute killer blocks.
Yeah.
And let me do it.
What was your biggest on-air or just general radio stuff up?
Oh. How badly can I swear?
Go ahead.
The worst stuff up I made was we had carts when I was starting out.
Yep, the actual physical cartridges, yep.
And I was in Tamworth, and cart machines used to skip from time to time. And when you have a festival that's called the Tamworth Country Music Festival, and the cartridge skips and says, you're listening to the coverage of 2TM's. And I was just like, oh, no, please. How do I do it? How do I stop this?
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh, fader down, music up. Yeah.
For more of this chat with former announcer, writer and program director turned marketing executive Stephen Walter Gerrard, check out Off Mic, Life After Radio, wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube.